So we've got a bit of a problem here. I was about to sit down to do a little bit of a recording. I was actually really excited because we've got Dark Souls 2 coming up, and that's just fantastic news. I love the original Dark Souls and looking forward to the sequel. The problem is that in my preparation for this upcoming game and getting ready, I wanted to try and go through the original Dark Souls. Well, I can't do that because of frickin' DRM. And that's what I'm here to talk with you guys about today, the future of DRM. Talking about this in the past, I've been in a position where I'm actually happy with services that require internet connections or I'm okay with it because I'm always on the internet. But the real issue, the real crux of the issue, is when those services go away, what does that mean for us, the gamers? Well, that has started to rear its ugly head. Here is the situation. Microsoft has decided to shut down games for Windows Live. This is a decision that went through, I believe, sometime in the summer of 2013, and it's starting to cause issues. Mainly, right now, for me, I cannot save game in Dark Souls 2. I played the game for a few hours a couple of weeks ago, came back, and I was like, all right, let me pick up where... There's no save game. And then I realized that when I tried to save game, it's just not an option because I'm not connected to games for Windows Live. Why am I not connected for games for Windows Live? Because the service is being shut down or has already shut down. Actually, I'm not sure what the current state of it is. It's sort of a confusing situation. Maybe I just haven't done enough research. It doesn't matter. This is the problem. This is the issue, and this is the reason why I'm starting to understand these arguments against DRM. Because when whatever company shuts down their online services, these things that require an internet connection, those games are unplayable. Now, this is something we've dealt with much in the past with MMOs, for example. You know, when an MMO shutters its servers, of course you're not playing that game anymore. That goes without saying, right? Well, what about these single-player games? What about these games that essentially shouldn't have an internet connection, that they shouldn't require an internet connection? What about a game like Diablo 3? It's crazy for us to think about a future without Blizzard. Of course, we expect Blizzard to be around for quite some time because we grew up with Blizzard. And Blizzard has made great games some of the time. and how could they ever shut down? Well, one day they probably will. And that's not me being a doomsayer. That's just the very nature of business. Businesses come and they go. This happens. There's a time in our future where Blizzard will no longer exist. There's a time in our future where Valve may no longer exist. And that is one of the scariest propositions for me personally, as someone who has somewhere in the vicinity of 300 games in my Steam library. A future without Valve, without Steam, and potentially without all of those games that I've purchased. That is a scary future indeed. So this is a tough situation. This is a tough situation because we've gotten to the point where a lot of games and a lot of companies are implementing DRM because we're okay with it. And maybe we shouldn't be. I think I'm finally starting to see the light as to why we shouldn't be. Because right now, I basically can't play Dark Souls. I can sit down and play Dark Souls and then lose all my progress. That's really not acceptable. And there might be a fix for this out there. I've seen all on the Steam forums, people complaining about crashing even because Games for Windows Live isn't working. And this, I would assume, isn't the only game that's having an issue. Any game that was tethered to Games for Windows Live, I would assume is gonna have some sort of problem going forward. Now, we do hope that they patch these problems out, but honestly, at this point, do they care enough to? Does Microsoft really care enough for us to fix the games that they've already gotten money for? In terms of their reputation, they absolutely should, but I don't know, has that stopped them from making decisions in the past that we don't agree with? It's a tough call. And I'm not putting this solely on Microsoft's shoulders. Again, DRM is something that is becoming ever pervasive and prevalent in our games, and maybe, just maybe, we should sit and think about if we should really support it, because right now, I'm kind of pissed. If you couldn't tell, I'm a little pissed that I basically can't play Dark Souls. I was really excited. I was going to make a video. I was stoked. Not going to happen anymore. Son of a bitch. All right, guys. Yeah, leave your opinions below. Let me know what you think. DRM in games, I'm really starting to come around to the other side of things and being not okay with it because of situations like this. Thanks a lot, Microsoft.
Well, what do we have here? You must be a new arrival. Let me guess. Fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first. But there's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the undead asylum.